How much money do we make from these videos?
Absolutely zero.
This is a perfect shot right here.
Yeah, look at that.
Some of those shots were just unreal.
Strons and I have been talking about doing a behind the scenes for like how we do these videos. The benefit, obviously, hopefully, is that it does inspire other people to go out and make cool stories, because there are stories literally everywhere.
Well, we'll start with a little tour then. You can just show me around, tell me everything I need to know. The texture.
Easiest question.
You like being stung by bees?
It's fine. It's an experience. Sometimes these shoots we're shooting 2, 3 hours, 4 hours of someone talking about a very specific subject.
This is kind of nice with the bar here. I like this quite a bit, actually.
Pretty soon you're about to learn about the best interview tripod of all time, which is actually a photo tripod. Hey man, nice work. Yeah.
24 F4.
Yep.
No NDs.
Nope.
And rolling.
So that's not completely true, but it does depend on which what video you're talking about. These podcasts, it is absolutely zero.
Well, yeah.
These don't make anything yet. Hopefully one day.
Are we necessarily relying on any one key, I don't know, revenue source? Like just ad revenue? Like what's the question? I know we got a question of like, do you make money from these videos?
Someone basically sent us a question saying, how do you make this profitable? And I think they were interested in documentaries specifically. How do you make your documentaries profitable? And the unfortunate reality is they're not currently, and I don't know that they ever will be necessarily just the documentaries themselves. That's the goal. But it is interesting to talk about, because we've talked about the financial side of things a few times, but it does seem to be the thing that people are probably most interested in, especially if they're listening to this content. Would be my guess anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the difference of being a content creator, like a YouTuber, versus what we create are more like evergreen documentaries that don't necessarily live and breathe on just YouTube.
So that's true. Currently, they exist mostly on YouTube, I would say. We are in the process of finishing Multitude, which is the new platform that I'm currently building, and I have been building for the last 3 years. So if you see any like sponsorship, or if I'm ever wearing a t-shirt, Multitude is a new platform that is kind of open right now. You could sign up and join it. It's a little clunky, kind of working out all the technical difficulties of software development. But right now, Paragraphic is mostly and only monetized on YouTube.
Yeah, which after we at least complete the videos that we're doing, like we're aiming for like a 20-minute mark, which allows the videos not only to live on YouTube, but I don't know if we've talked about it before, but being able to essentially license the footage so it can live on like is it streaming TV? How would you describe those platforms?
So there's obviously the major platforms that everyone knows about: Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and HBO and Discovery and Peacock, and the list goes on of the popular
and
ones.
without getting on those specific platforms, because it seems to be much more challenging to get on a Netflix or a Hulu. It is easy to get on Amazon, which
it used to be a lot easier.
Oh, is it more difficult now?
They shut that down, yeah. So if you go on Amazon Prime, you'll see a lot of
like
it's a lot of like
Studios
kids content for whatever reason. Like a user uploaded like Let's Plays and Minecraft builds and that kind of thing. They've slowly kind of segmented it off a little bit, so you can't upload as easily as you once could. And I think now Amazon has Freevee, which is like a separate platform that's like free content supported by ads that maybe is a little bit more accessible. But yeah, there's a lot of those like You know, back in the day, I don't know, growing up, I had the rabbit ears, the antenna, and I could watch like local television. So there's the ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC were like the primary television channels. And then there was like all the other ones.
Like the UPN 45.
Yeah, which I just found out recently, that's it was Paramount Network.
Oh, wow.
That's what the P in UPN stands for.
Oh. So UPN, granted, 45 was our channel, Arizona. But there were like the WB, the Warner Brothers channel also.
Yeah, which became CW years ago. But I remember that was a big change. So there was like those like the secondary channels that you could watch. And I remember when I was a kid, we had it was actually a car television that we like brought into our house as like our TV after we moved.
Like the kids' TV or like the living room TV?
Like we didn't have a television.
Oh my God.
After we moved, it was like, we moved, we don't need a TV. But
Sweet.
The kids, me and my brothers, we wanted to watch television. And so we brought the car TV into one of the rooms.
Dedication.
Tiny, tiny little screen. And we watched the local television stations. But it wasn't until like a year or two later that I figured out you could scan for new channels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time.
Well, yeah.
So I hit the scan button on the remote one day, and all of a sudden my eyes were open, and I could watch, Screen Gems, I Dream Genie, Bewitched, Gilligan's Island, that kind of stuff.
Was it the Ion channel or something like that?
Yes,
ION or something
Ion,
like that? Yeah.
That had, I think, Touched by an Angel, some of those classics.
Yes.
What was the other one that was Believe It or Not? But it was like a religious kind of thing, if you believe kind of thing. It was like Touched by an Angel, but like there were these, they did reenactments of religious faith-based stories.
So it wasn't
I forget the name of the
Fact or
show.
Fiction?
No, it wasn't that one, but it was like that, but for Jesus.
Unsolved Mysteries? It wasn't
No, it
Unsolved
wasn't
Mysteries?
that.
No, okay. It was for Jesus?
Yeah, it was like I Want to Believe or something like that. I don't know. I forget the name of it. But anyway, to take it to like modern times, that now we have Freevee or Tubi or some of these like offshoot or random streaming channels where you can just watch stuff for free. Pluto is one.
Like
that's kind of
Vizio
popular.
TV. I think most people are kind of familiar, I guess, with Vizio TV. That might be one of the most, recognizable ones. But in that network or in that platform, essentially.
Yeah,
then you
Roku
can scan.
channel. It's kind of like this one step below. Like Netflix is premium, Disney Plus is premium, but then you have all these like free channels that are ad supported.
It's free channels that it makes it look like as if it's a live TV, which most of the channels, like let's say it's a news section because there's hundreds, if not thousands of free channels. But let's say like a network will have a channel like a Fox and Fox Sports, Fox, whatever. There's 10 different Fox channels, but it's interesting because none of it's actually live content. It's like the pre-taped or maybe the post show of a game or whatever. And then they'll just place it there.
And it looks like it's live. Maybe
Looks
sometimes
like
it
it's
could
live.
be, but usually it's not.
It's the, like, if they recorded the morning show, it would be on in the afternoon. So it's not live, but it'll eventually be there.
And these platforms are accessible to creators. So if we wanted to, we could put paragraphic content as many places as possible.
Yes.
But you're still playing the same game that you're playing on YouTube, which is hopefully getting lucky and hopefully people find the content and hopefully they watch it.
But there's also other parameters in order for it to live on those platforms.
Sure. So different platforms have different parameters. The universal kind of parameter for most of them is at least 20 minutes of content per episode. If you're a TV series, now if you do a short film, it's a little bit different. Even if you do a feature-length film, it's a little bit different. They have all these requirements, and it's hard to manage. If let's say you made a 70-minute movie, some platforms will take that. Other platforms will be like, oh, it's got to be at least 90 minutes. And so you're kind of beholden to creating what they want you to make.
Right.
And we've talked kind of behind the scenes of YouTube being such a powerful platform as far as accessibility. Anyone can find anything they want on YouTube. Some of these other channels, while they might be more premium in terms of the content they offer, accessibility and getting to that content is very, very difficult. And so even if we took the time, it's my belief, if we took the time to put our content in all these different places, it still likely would not be that big of a difference as far as revenue goes, because it's still ad-based. So you're still making fractions of a penny every view. And unless you're getting millions of views, which a lot of these platforms aren't. These
Right.
channels are not getting that kind of view volume. It's still like, okay, maybe an extra $10 a month, an extra
Right.
$20 a month of revenue is not going to tip the scale in the terms of profitability when the cost to make what we make is probably thousands of dollars.
Right. I constantly think about how many people are actually watching that live free TV, and I don't know. Like, there must be some people, which is why it exists, but I don't know anyone like in my immediate network that watches that kind of content.
And even if you have millions of people watching that type of content on these free channels, they're watching millions of different things.
Right.
So yeah, you might have a user base of 10 million or 50 million or even 100 million, but if there's 100 million different pieces of content to watch, well, that's only like one view, two views. It's not like everyone's in the same spot watching the same thing.
There's something to be said about just maybe just being seen, just having like the spread of, oh yeah, that looks familiar, you know? So I don't know as much as it is a billboard for, you know, just getting the name out there, but how much is that actually worth it as well? Because if we're trying to, again, if we're focusing on profitability, getting your name out there isn't necessarily equating to dollars.
So that's actually a pretty good example, because a lot of times when we reach out to people to, hey, we want to cover your story, we want to do a video about you, I tell them, like, here's the channel, check it out. They can go watch it immediately. I don't have to pitch them on, oh, we're a documentary production company for Tubi, and we do this show called Paragraphic, and they're like, what is that? I've never heard of it. Can you send me a link? And I'm like, well, if you go on your Roku and you log in and you sign up and you download this app, and then even then you go to it and you're like, well, how many views does this get? How many subscribers are there? At least on YouTube, it's all public, so people can go look and see.
Which the irony of that is we kind of made content like that, you know, in the past, you know, working for companies where it's very difficult to describe what the network is, and you were trying to do an 8-episode series, and they're just like, okay, what's the audience? Like, well, there is no audience yet. Like, we're creating the show out of nothing, you know, out of thin air. So in order to have like somebody's confidence that you're going to make, you know, a good, successful show, it's a lot more difficult when there's nothing to show for it versus at least the YouTube channel. There's subscribers, there's a view count, you know, there's, oh, okay, people actually watch and comment, you know, they're engaged.
It's the easiest platform for anyone to kind of look at. You can text a link to people, you can email them a link. It's very, very easy and intuitive, and everybody has heard of YouTube at this point, but it still is incredibly hard to make that profitable and from a monetary standpoint.
Yes. And I don't know if people still have the same like negative feeling towards YouTube where the ads, if you watch ads, people just have kind of a knee-jerk reaction of, well, it's one thing to share content with somebody, but unless you know that they're into that same kind of content, it's very hard for somebody to get somebody else to watch what you're interested in, right? But what is that speed bump of watching an ad? Like, do they watch it knowing that it's supporting the creators?
No.
Or no, right? Exactly. So for people to ask like, oh, well, you know, how much money do you make on YouTube, whatever it is, and it's so difficult to do that because it's like, how many ads do you need watched, you know, fully? Do you need people to click through? Do you need like all these other parameters that could make it more profitable? But are people actually doing that?
Well, do you have YouTube Premium yet?
I do have YouTube Premium because I couldn't
Finally.
stand initially when YouTube Premium first came out, I think the ads were only like a one ad maybe, and it was 5 seconds. Cool, I can
skip it,
I can
it's
deal.
fine.
You know, I didn't want to have to pay for a YouTube Premium, but it got to a point where there were 2 ads and there were unskippable 15-second ads each. At that point, I decided it was worth it to pay for Premium to have no ads. Which I don't know. I like the ads. I do like.
In
I'll
moderation.
rephrase. I do like some of the ads. Like Geico got really good at creating 5-second ads because they knew people were going to skip it anyway. So they would say, you know, immediately, it's like, we're going to tell you this ad in 5 seconds and then go right through it, which kind of made you want to watch more of what they had to offer because it was so good and clever. But there's a lot of ads now that are just very long and don't seem to be worth watching.
When YouTube first rolled that out as a feature, it was YouTube Red, and then now called YouTube Premium. And it was the background play for me. That was a big feature. The downloads was a nice feature. And Yeah, the no ads is a nice feature as well. At the time, it wasn't that big of a deal. It is now because the ads are rampant on YouTube.
Yes.
But it surprises me how many people still refuse to pay for YouTube, the premium subscription, because they'll just sit through the ads.
It's like the time. Like, a lot of people don't necessarily realize how much time they're spending maybe on a given platform. And like, we had a friend, Christopher, he was telling us, like, oh, I never watch YouTube. I never watch YouTube. He was telling this for maybe 2 years straight. Like, we were kind of telling him, like, oh, you should get on YouTube. You should get on YouTube. And it wasn't until maybe this last year where I'm pretty sure he has YouTube Premium now.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
But he was finally like, okay, I kind of realized I watch way more YouTube than I do of anything else, Hulu, Apple TV. So by switching over, he was like, he kind of made that decision in his mind. I'm going to invest in like this, platform for consuming content.
Well, we all went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The three of us went. And that's a 2.5-hour movie. But immediately afterwards, me and Christopher downloaded probably 5 to 10 hours of content on YouTube of people talking about that movie.
Yes.
Just as like the recap, the Easter eggs.
And you downloaded it so that you could watch it later.
Oh, I downloaded it because I could watch it on the flight.
Right.
So we were on an airplane, so that's why I had to download it. It didn't need to download, but it's just the mindset of like we watch a 2.5-hour movie, but then end up watching 5 hours, 10 hours of content just about that same film.
I don't think I've done very few downloads on YouTube. I've done a lot more downloading for Spotify. Like if I'm going to be on a flight, mostly because I don't necessarily want to watch as much as I just want to have my eyes closed and maybe listen to something.
This is podcasts, not music.
Podcasts. Okay. I do have music, but for the most part, podcasts probably. Just so I can, keep my eyes shut and just kind of focus on, I don't know, hopefully sleeping. But I guess I can easily fall asleep to like headphones just playing whatever. But yeah, watching, I don't know. I still haven't necessarily given myself the opportunity to watch maybe longer pieces of content where I'm like, I need to download this. I don't know. I've just never felt the need for that.
Often called the mushroom of the gods, lion's mane has a long history of medicinal use. This popular nootropic has been shown to enhance focus and increase cognition, helping you feel more productive and accomplished. Research studies have also shown that lion's mane is neuroprotective, giving you peace of mind as you power through your day. Try lion's mane and experience the mental clarity and productivity boost you've been missing. So we are not profitable currently. However, that doesn't mean that is impossible to achieve one day. Most of our videos, and we've talked about this before, but most of our documentaries will earn maybe $50, $100 on YouTube via AdSense. And that's total. That's not like per month or like, when we release it, but that's like total for the video. And you can go through the analytics. So when you have video after video after video after video making $50 and it takes usually a whole day or more to film it, a whole week or more to edit it, it's like, why would you do this? And my answer is for fun.
Well, it's still fun. That's the beauty of it, because most people, and I feel like we have this conversation with almost everyone that we've filmed a paragraphic video, but if you don't have that level of fun or want to do that job, I don't know if you're going to be very happy in life.
Yeah, because you're not. We've talked about this a lot, and a lot of the people we even film, it's like they're doing what they love, and we get to do what we love. And at a certain level, I don't really care about the financial side from YouTube, because we at least get to just do what we want. Get to go make a cool documentary. No one's telling us what to do or how to do it. We tell ourselves, this would be a cool shot. This would be a cool story. Let's go do it.
And I think just over time, like it just builds. The audience builds, the support for creating the content makes it that much easier to get up at 2:30 in the morning to film all day. Like the most recent video we shot was with Desert Kings, the falconry. So I don't know if this is spoilers.
Well, the video is going to be out way later from now.
Yes, way later from now. But so yes, we shot this video, but starting, I think, what time did we arrive there? 4 in the morning, 4:30.
Our call time was 4:30.
4:30.
But it was an hour away, and to carpool involved, picking up. So yeah, I was up at, I think, 3 o'clock that morning.
Yeah, 3 o'clock until 9:30 p.m. Right, 10
Yeah.
o'clock p.m. by the time you're home, and we get a lot from our friends like, oh, we'd love to be there. The shoots look so cool, and there is an aspect where I'm sure people would like to be there because it is cool, but it's the other aspect of actually doing it. It's one thing to say that you want to do it, but it's the other aspect of wanting to do it. But if you want to be able to do that and it makes you happy, then that's what, that's the conversations we have with people where it's like, who wouldn't want to be here, and you're talking to people who are there. So it's, it's a very genuine, authentic experience being able to be up in the morning and then talk to somebody about how awesome it is to be up in the morning. I don't know. But I'm a morning person. So
there's a level of effort in any regard. Like the most common one I think is like going to the gym. Like it takes effort to go to the gym, to work out, and to be diligent about that. You can talk. I think every single person is like, oh, I wish I worked out more. I wish I, ate better. I wish I did these things, right? I say these things, but there's a certain point where it kind of, there's a phrase where it hits the pavement, hits the road. I don't know. There's like
the rubber meets the road.
Rubber meets the road. That's the one. Like there's a certain point where you either do it or you don't.
Yes.
So talking about wanting to go to the gym is a nice thought, but it's kind of meaningless unless you actually go.
Yeah.
And usually those are the types of things that are so individual that the person has to just decide, like, I'm going to do this regardless of everything else. And it doesn't really matter how much you talk about it. You just go do it.
Yes. What is there's got to be a word for it. I know there's commiserating, right? Where you talk to other people about how much you hate something, right?
Like complaining.
Yes.
And just, yeah.
What is that word for positive? Like, what's the positive word for that?
I don't know.
Just gossip, but gossip also has
It's
like a negative connotation.
yeah.
There's got to be something for it because, again, having the conversations with people when we're out doing what we love with other people doing what they love, that happens everywhere. Like, you can go to the gym, like you're talking about. It's like the people who go to the gym, like the gym rats or people who just live there, they're all stoked to be there. Like, you could talk to, like, if you're a gym guy talking to other gym people, everyone's like, yeah, isn't this the best? We're all working out. In every, facet of, career choice, there are those people, but it's finding that for yourself, which is apparently the hardest part because you can have an interest in something, but you don't necessarily know if you're passionate about it.
The gym is a good example because those people are paying to be there. Some of them might be, like, if you're an influencer or something, you might be making some money, but most people who go to the gym pay to be there. They're not getting paid for their time of lifting weights, and they're happy to do it. And I think that we found a similar thing where we're happy, I am at least, I can't speak for you, but I'm happy to wake up at 3 a.m. if that's what it takes to do the job. And we're not making money on YouTube. There is the upside, right? There are certain videos that if they do go viral can make tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So there is potential there.
I mean, essentially, panning for gold, but you can only pan for gold if you're in the right spot, right? And our right spot is just making quality content.
Yeah, and every time we make a video, I'm thinking, like, it would be great if this one makes $20,000, $30,000. That'd be incredible because it would pay for all the other ones. But there's also in the back of my mind that kind of knowing that, like, that's probably not going to happen. And this one realistically will make $100. And so instead of worrying about that, it's more about, let's go have fun. Let's just do what we love to do.
Right.
And see what happens.
That's that's the same story for every successful company. I feel like is, oh yeah, I just was doing this for fun until who knew, like, all of a sudden people just wanted to pay for it, So I don't know how you can't necessarily at least build a community around what you're doing, at least if you're having fun with it, because other people, like, it's almost like they're attracted to positivity, right? In any career. So for us, it's either the comments, which helps us, give us the motivation to do it, but for everyone, like everyone involved, it's like if we reach out to somebody, they're stoked, like they're happy that we even reached out, like, so automatically there's the immediate spark of like positivity, and again the comment section. So I feel like no matter what, it just keeps building, and eventually, well, with more eyes and everything, it it tips the scales in our favor as far as being able to make more money, especially when it's on YouTube.
The word Boca comes from a Japanese term that literally translates to the flavor or taste of the blur, or said another way, the quality of the blur. When you're focused on one thing, it necessarily means you're unfocused on the surroundings. But what is the quality of that experience? Are you able to concentrate on your priorities? Or are you distracted and overwhelmed with all the to-dos? Are you able to accomplish your goals? Or do you not even get started at all? Water, oxygen, protein, fruits, vegetables, vitamins, minerals, mushrooms. Nature is abundant with everything we need to thrive, but many of us are depleted of these essential nutrients. We are what we eat. You become what you consume. While an unhealthy lifestyle will give us poor results, a healthy daily routine is positive for the body, mind, and soul. In a world dominated by distractions, easy excuses, and endless indulgences, the smallest change can have the biggest impact. Stay focused. So it's not profitable currently, but the goal is to get it there at one point. So it can't just be the full-time thing that we do. And that's why we've started things like Boca, supplements, so that it's a tangible physical product, a good that people can buy that can help kind of fuel the business. We've launched the Patreon, which is another way, but the Patreon right now is at, $50 a month. I think there's about 12 supporters there. And that's certainly not going to pay to keep the lights on currently, but maybe one day it'll get there. Building a platform like Multitude, where it's more financially viable than YouTube and AdSense alone.
Yeah.
So there's like components to the business that is when you want to take a hobby and push it to that next level. But I've also seen and worked for many companies that have not been sustainable from the start. They've taken on loans or debt, or they've got investment, and they've grown a company really big, really fast. And then it all, it looks like it's successful. It looks like, wow, you've got 50 employees. Wow, you're doing all this work. You're doing all this great stuff. Like, that's incredible. You must be successful. And then it kind of collapses overnight. And I feel like we're already seeing this as well. We talked a few weeks ago about BuzzFeed News collapsing. Now Vice has filed for bankruptcy. Very close to my heart, because oftentimes people think that we're Vice or something.
That's a very frequent comment that we've seen. Is this Vice? Are you guys Vice?
I saw a Vice video on this guy, the mushroom farmer. It's like, that wasn't Vice, that was us. It's a great, nice comment I saw on Reddit. It's kind of the joke that like, oh, we're like Vice, but wholesome or something.
Yeah, it's Vice.
So anyway, you see these companies that for the longest time were the example, the tent pole. Do it like Vice is doing it. They're successful. Do it like BuzzFeed. They're successful. Do it like Vox. They're successful. And you realize that these companies they have the trappings of success. They look like they're successful, but so much of it is investment. And I'm not saying that people there weren't successful. They made content that people wanted to watch,
but it's
resources. Not sustainable. Yeah,
they had access to resources.
Imagine what we could do
exactly
if we just
with
took
enough capital,
$100 million investment.
Right.
Of course, we could hire people and we could make more content and have an office and look super successful.
Yeah.
But if we got $100 million in, that means that's $100 million to pay back. And how are you going to do that when every video is making $50? And that's the equation of sustainability that I think is not often considered. And from the media perspective, we see it all the time because of the stories we cover. We just filmed with somebody and he's like, yeah, it's like a little ecosystem, right? I'm collecting rainwater. I'm using that water and it's this little loop. Okay, well, we're creating content. That content is then making money. If what it's making isn't paying the bills, then at a certain point, we are investing our own time and energy into it and knowing we're not going to get that return. But if I just took a $100 million loan, I know I could not pay that back currently because the content isn't actually worth that.
Right.
And all these other companies have been high as a kite off of these investment firms for the last 10, 15 years, making it seem like, oh, isn't it cool to be Vice? And then now they're filing for bankruptcy because there's just no way to sustain it.
The technology changed too quickly for them to really kind of actually make money, or at least to continue to make the money that they were making when they first had those initial investments. Because content creation became so much easier for everyone to get in the game of making videos and basically stealing eyes away from, Vices, the BuzzFeeds of the world. So in that sense, the writing must have been on the wall for a lot of these people working there, which is probably why you saw a lot of great content creators kind of jump ship, years ago. But I mean, for me specifically, I worked for one of these big companies that squandered millions, tens of millions of dollars. But what do these people do? Because they've never been in that position before, because it's never really existed before. So it was a very new kind of territory. Granted, I'm sure you could be much more conservative with the investments and not be spending it on lavish offices, in the middle of Beverly Hills or, Times Square. But in order to kind of maintain the image of success, you do these things. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, because if somebody gives you $100 million, do you say, no, don't give me that much money because I know I'm not going to be able to pay it back?
The business person would say, yeah, I'll take it. I think the artist or the creative might say, no, thank you. I look at people, and I don't know, I have no insight to any of these companies or creators, but during that same period of time, you saw the rise of Rhett and Link and Mythical Entertainment and what they're doing. I think by all accounts, they're relatively sustainable, I think. More recently, you've had the rise of Mr. Beast and Beast Industries, or whatever his company's called, and Mr. Beast Burger and the Power Bar stuff they're doing. And by all accounts, that seems to be relatively sustainable. Now, I don't know if he's taken $1 billion loan that he can't pay back. I don't know that, but it seems...
From podcasts I've listened to where he's talked about like reinvesting money. They do reinvest money.
Of course.
And by his account, he would spend every last every last dime that they've made to the next video.
That they made, not that they got.
Oh, I have no idea.
And but that's what I think the difference is, right? If someone just gives you a blank check for $100 million, you're like, well, I don't know how much a video costs. Like,
right.
Let's go spend,
you're talking about as in if it was an investment. Yeah.
Let's go say, we're going to spend $50,000 on a video, with travel and everything to film in Afghanistan because you're Vice or whatever. And let's say that video makes $15,000. Well, you just spent $50,000.
It's easy to see. Maybe for us, because we've been following a lot of these creators from the beginning, so we know like they came from literally humble beginnings and reinvested the money that they've made on the platform in order to make their next piece of content.
Correct.
Which you can definitely grow an audience, which I feel like a lot of these other companies, that's the one thing that they never really they take it for granted. The audience, subscribers, all those, the followers, they take them for granted because they don't there's no connection. Because a lot of these companies, if you get $100 million, all of a sudden you just have to hire people in order to make the content. Exactly. So there's really no focus on creating content as the core company and have it, have that one core vision or, whatever the mission statement is for that company. Because all of a sudden now you have, 1,000 cooks in the kitchen. And then what are you making really? But, for those companies, it was they were making a lot of money on salacious headlines and, making titles for videos that didn't make sense. So they were definitely playing on the algorithm. And I don't know how much you want to get into their partnerships with social media companies and Facebook and everything. But for a company that's like us, starting out grassroots, just 2 dudes and a couple cameras, and then being able to, cultivate an audience that is very supportive and they want to see more content. And then you look at the number of subscribers and you're just like, oh, wow. It went from 0 to 100,000, 200,000. It just keeps going. So there's, I don't know, that's the benefit of starting out small. You get to create a community, an audience that actually really cares about the content, as opposed to the other side of, just giving a whole bunch of money and then being able to create content, and people might subscribe for the content, but they don't necessarily care about the company.
Yeah, that's all true. The simplest way I look at it is just the equation of all it takes for us is the time that we put in. It doesn't cost us a dime necessarily to make something. It does cost us time, but if you're willing to sacrifice the time to make even $50,
Yep.
it's okay. That was the exchange. That's very different than taking $100 million, investing that, and then making $50 million back. Yes, you made money, and you made a lot of money. $50 million is a lot, but it cost you $100 million.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the equation just doesn't balance, and it's not profitable. It's not sustainable.
And then you need to hire more people. People quit, and then you have all these other issues, that a company just immediately would have, right? You have somebody complaining about, I need another monitor. All of a sudden it's just like, oh my goodness, all the headaches that come with just, running a business at that, size.
Yeah. There's people I look to are the more tangible examples of John at Proof Bread has built a bakery business off of his own time, effort, and energy, selling a tangible good. I don't think he's taken really hardly any money aside from a couple times, like
There's
having to do expansions. But like he's selling the product and people are willing to buy it. It's not taking $100 million to go make a successful bakery. It's like I have a successful bakery and now I want to grow it. How do I do that? Sell more bread.
Yeah, and the money that he has received, he's done like crowdfunding campaigns. So people who are already fans of either the show on YouTube or just fans of the product. So it's not just him going independently to a bank to get a loan and then again trying to make the business successful. It's almost a marketing campaign of, hey, help me build this business even better. So you have not only the support but also the money.
With 10 different mushroom species packed into the most delicious gummies you've ever tried, this bottle has it all, including favorites like maitake, shiitake, lion's mane, reishi, and cordyceps. You'll experience a powerful blend of beneficial compounds that support healthy cognition and increased energy levels. These gummies are of the highest quality and efficacy, making them the perfect choice for anyone looking to perform at their best. Designed for a productive lifestyle, it's the easiest way to include all the benefits of mushrooms in your day. I'm going to crack open the mushroom gummies, take my 2 for the day because I haven't had
I've been
any.
waiting.
Oh, you've been waiting?
Yeah, man, I love these. These are my favorite.
They're really good. But that's the thing. It's I don't look at YouTube being the only path to success and sustainability. It is a way to publish our content, the content we like to make. And there are some nice benefits that come along with monetization. But if you want to be successful on YouTube, my recommendation would be an individual, be a YouTuber, make content every single day. Do it because you love it, not because you expect to be rich. And then maybe one day you'll actually be successful at it. With us, it's more about doing what we love to do and making the content we want to make, but then finding other ways to monetize beyond just YouTube, because there's no way to build a sustainable company of employees, of people off of YouTube alone. I just don't think that's realistic.
Right. And I don't know, it's something that we've done on a few videos, and I don't know how much you want to talk about this necessarily, but sponsorships are also something that that we've dabbled in, either for companies and products that are actually featured in the piece, but also there's the opportunity we have just based on the audience and views to sell potentially just like a generic sponsorship, like a title sponsorship, just because like it's easy for a company to purchase just the views of at least, okay, I know at least 10,000 people at least will see this video and then know that our company's associated. So it's something that's also an option, but not something that we necessarily go for every video.
No, and I think those are just opportunities that have come up because of the work that we've done, the people we've met, the views we've gotten. That's the other beneficial thing about making content, putting out there for public consumption. And I said this, I think, even from the very beginning. It doesn't really matter how many views you get, how many people see your content, as long as the right person saw it. So even if you got 10 views, if one of them is the CEO of some company that's interested in what you're doing, that might be enough to get them to say, hey, we should hire these people to go do this other thing. So even though the channel itself is not necessarily paying all the bills, that has led to opportunities that then have resulted in more income from other projects or sponsorships or whatever it might be. So the way I look at it is planting seeds. That's the analogy I love to use, as well as just making some of those connections. It's a great way to network without having to go like schmooze people, because we go and meet people all the time and we make friends because we're doing work sort of for them. It's like a weird, like
Yes.
We're not doing work for them, but at a certain level, it is promoting them. It's putting them out there. It's showcasing what they do.
Mutually beneficial.
Yeah, it's a win-win in the truest sense. And it just takes our effort to do it. And then we make this kind of friend for life almost.
Right.
That then can lead, you never know what that's going to lead to a year or 3 years down the road. In many cases, people have called me 3 years after the fact, been like, hey, I have a video project. Can you come do this?
Yep.
That's a great opportunity.
And I don't know how many of the companies that we've, not necessarily companies, people we've featured that have companies, because we're not necessarily doing videos on small businesses. It could be just an individual and their hobby. But some of the businesses are using that video on their homepage, because what better showcase of, you know, their business other than like one of these awesome paragraphic videos, because it's not only, you know, talking about them, but it's talking about their passion, like why. It's a much better story that somebody can like really almost like attach themselves to that company, or if they're already a fan of the company, you know, it's like it brings them even closer, because like a typical video, like an explainer video for a company, can, at least in my eyes, can come across very like salesy and not genuine. But what we do, it's like the complete opposite approach. Like we're just going to show up for the day, and I don't know if it's just like the way we film, because like I've worked with other production companies before, but much larger. So when it's like a small crew, like the intimacy and the conversations you get to have, because there's only like 3 of us, as opposed to like if there's a crew of, you know, 15 people, you don't, you know, open up as much as you would, because you're constantly, you know, meeting new people, even though they're there all day. It's like you don't really feel comfortable with any one person. But when we're there, it's all of a sudden we have this like very intimate conversation, and all of a sudden the interview can become much more of a, I don't know, like a, I don't want to say we get people to cry all the time, but it can be much more of an emotional story.
Yeah, it's just more intimate, more personal, and we get to make those connections, make those friendships, because they actually get to know us and we get to know them.
Right.
And what I love about what we do is that we get to make stuff that looks exceptionally high quality. That's what a lot of people say. It's why we get compared to Vice, or, hey, this should be on Netflix. And we're doing it in a much more sustainable new model that I don't see a lot of people doing. In fact, I don't see anyone doing it this way, because I don't think a lot of people even think that way. We often talk a lot, commiserate maybe.
Yeah. About being efficient?
No. About finding people who are able to work the way we do. Because if you have amateurs, they're very sloppy and they don't really do a very good job. And sometimes they're lazy, or they don't quite get all the needs associated with a professional production. But if you hire a professional, oftentimes they're expecting the crew of 15, and they're expecting all these bells and whistles and trappings of, well, why aren't you using this camera? And, oh, these aren't the right lenses. Or, oh, you need to be doing it this, and this way. What's the shot list? And we're like, well, that's not how a vlogger, a YouTuber, a content creator works. Usually, they're making content that they like to see, and they're having fun and being creative. And that's what I've always wanted to do, but applying that professional lens to it.
Yep.
So it isn't sloppy, it isn't lazy, it's professional, but it's done with just 1 or 2 people.
We kind of talked about it before, but the interesting part of obviously trying to build the paragraphic business, but until it gets to a point where it's sustainable for us to just do this full time. In the very beginning, we would do these videos, and then people would reach out to us, because we do freelance work, right? And it's, I don't know, the sensation is just like very humbling, I suppose. But when one of our videos gets presented to us as like a concept of like, this is what we want our video to look like, do you think you could make it look like this? And then being able to tell them like, oh yeah, I shot that, you know, and, you know, it comes across, or it's come up a few times, which is great, but it's like such an awkward feeling, because it's like, as much as like we're used to maybe doing client work, or as much as we want to do a great job for that job, like that specific gig, we want to be doing that for ourselves all the time. And it's that, I don't know, it's like I said, it's this weird feeling of being like, well, I want to build this, but it's also getting me an opportunity to build something else for somebody else as well, because they appreciate the quality.
Boca Smoothie Greens is a blend of organic grasses, superfoods, B vitamins, and botanical extracts designed to fuel the body with broad-spectrum nutrients for optimal mental and physical functionality. This whole food blend empowers the body through fruits and vegetables, organic grasses, adaptogens, immune-boosting herbs, plant extracts, and enzymes. With Boca Smoothie Greens, you can quickly supercharge with the best nature has to offer. There's a lot in life that would be nice to do, and it's kind of the goal, the hopes and dreams, but then there's the practical reality of these are the things you have to do to get there. And unfortunately, or fortunately, because I think it's good to test your patience. I think that's kind of what the universe likes to do, right? If you want to build something successful and sustainable, you're going to have to go through the trials and tribulations of waiting. Just wait. Just be patient. No, not this one, right? Keep doing it, keep chipping away, because then that hardens you for when you actually are successful, and then you've earned it at that point. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other stuff, like you got to pay the bill somehow. So I don't know, it keeps me hungry, I guess, doing the work that's financially lucrative, mm-hmm. but then still having that outlet to do the stuff that's more of the passion project. I think you're very rarely dealt a perfect hand in life. I think you're sometimes dealt a good hand and sometimes dealt a bad hand, and how you play it is up to you. But the more you play, the more opportunity there's to win and get better at playing the game that is life. And especially in a situation where you only have one life to live, why not make the most of it? Do as much as you can and plant as many seeds as possible, so that hopefully, that one day you can be successful and profitable and sustainable and all those things that you want.
I often thought of this when I was in film school. I was always wondering, I was like, when am I going to be good? It's like, when am I just going to be good at this? Because when you're just starting out, you don't know anything. Like, you literally don't know anything. And you start to learn a few things, like the general rules of filmmaking, right? You can learn the rule of, thirds, rule of, anything that you want, 180-degree rule, all the stuff. But it's not until you actually do it over and over and over again where it becomes just like secondhand, to you. So like I could say confidently now, when we go on a shoot, it's going to be great. It's going to look fantastic. And there's going to be very few, most likely now, it's like there's no errors in the way we shoot. Like we're always constantly checking our settings to make sure everything's perfect, because again, there's only two of us there. There's not an army of people where you have, your camera operator, you have your AC, your second AC, everyone's kind of like checking everything off. You have ourselves and it's not even that we're together most of the shooting day either. Like we spend half the day just split up, kind of deciding. It's like, should I shoot this in like 60 frames per second? Do I want to like making creative decisions, but ultimately knowing what you need for the final product? So it's a very interesting like juggling dance you get to do once you are competent, once you know all the things. But yeah, that's something I wondered, and I don't know like if you ever think about it anymore, but the only time it really ever comes up is when we have somebody else on set with us, and to expect somebody to know everything that we've been through is almost like an impossible task. But it's because we had, the luxury of being on 40 plus of these shoots. And the only way you get to be that confident in your abilities is if you do it. And we've done it a lot.
I think the best person for doing what we do is the YouTuber type of person who's making content regularly, especially if you're into filmmaking and you love just understanding the technical side of things, because so often it's the technicals that allow you to be truly creative. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there who consider themselves artists that want to be creative and have all these ideas, but then don't really know how to do it, because it's like they don't have the technical understanding to do it, or at least do it right or do it properly where it's the best execution of itself. So there's a certain type of person, but they're few and far between, of this like content creator mindset who wants to make something, be creative, but do it at that level where it's not just, oh, I just shoot whatever and I just kind of like put it together and I upload it and my files are all disorganized and I don't even know what frame rate I shot. I just shot whatever. There's a level of professionalism that comes with doing it this way, because that's really what helps you avoid all those errors and those mistakes. There's countless YouTubers who, oh, I forgot to record audio on that one, had to redo it. Oops, I forgot to do this with my camera. I didn't format my card. I ran out of space. I didn't charge my batteries. I didn't do whatever. And we can't do that on a shoot because we have that one day and we have a limited time. I don't have to come back another day because I forgot to record audio.
Yeah, right.
You know, so the professional side of things keeps you from making those mistakes and also enables the creativity. But unfortunately, it's such a rare skill set, a rare person that's able to do all that.
We went from having no like extra equipment and hoping that we could pull off a shoot with the equipment that we were going to bring to now one of our most recent shoots. I don't know if we're necessarily challenging ourselves, but it was one of our expectations of we're going to try to only bring the cameras into the field. We're going to bring lights. We're going to try to leave them in, the van. And to be able to confidently do that and be like, it's no matter what, it's going to look great. It's going to look great. And to know that it does look great because, knowing lighting, knowing, just positioning of your subject and background and having it look, cinematic, but not necessarily having every tool in the arsenal that maybe you'd want to bring, but embracing, the landscape wherever you are and just embracing it. And I feel like we're doing a really good job of it now, but it's again, like every now and then I'll think about it and I'm just like, man, we've come a long way because I've wanted this powerful light for so long. And then now I'm just like, we should leave it. Not because we're lazy, but because we want to see if we don't need it. So why use it? Like, we don't need it. It's, yeah.
Often called the mushroom of immortality, reishi is the top-selling nutraceutical mushroom species worldwide. In nature, it grows on hardwood trees and is well known for supporting general wellness and vitality. Reishi has been shown to be a potent immune system regulator and stress reducer and is frequently used in traditional Chinese medicine. Taken in the evening, reishi can help calm the body, giving you a peaceful night's sleep so you can wake up feeling fully refreshed and ready to take on the day. That reishi really does work. For me personally, whenever I take reishi, I get the best night's sleep and it just helps me fall asleep. It's actually very helpful when we have to wake up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's when I take the reishi the night before and I fall right asleep and I wake up feeling refreshed.
It's only a matter of time until we have, like, I still want the energy drink. Like, we were trying to create the energy drink, and it's like one of these days we'll have it. We'll have a whole 6-pack. Because now we're starting to bring coolers, when we go on shoots, with our own snacks and everything. But I love these supplements. I just want the energy drink. It'll happen.
One day, crack open the
I just
can.
want to be able to make that. It's one of my favorite sounds. Just like the pop top of.
Yeah.
It's just such a great sound.
No, it's fun to figure out the ways to make this type of business successful. And a lot of the twists and turns over the years have not been predictable. It's been kind of more random or opportunistic. But what do they say? Luck is the...
It's preparedness meeting opportunity.
That's the phrase, yes. It's the
not exactly that. That was
something
very
like
much
that.
Not it, but it is that.
Yeah, being lucky is making sure that you've done everything you can so that when the opportunity does arise, you're prepared for it and you're ready to go. And that's been more or less the case, I think. And it's been about doing as much as we can to invest in ourselves and figure that whole thing out and being willing to sacrifice time and hours because it's actually a pretty easy... The equation works out pretty easily when you consider what would I be doing instead? Watching Netflix, scrolling on Instagram,
watching somebody else's content be made.
It's not a hard sacrifice. When you talk about time, it's the most precious resource. You never get it back. And you go, okay, well, like, what are you spending your time on? Oh, just sitting on the couch. Oh, well, that's an easy sacrifice to trade that for going out and having a new experience, meeting a new person, making something new that no one would have seen otherwise. So it's a lot of times the time investment, people feel like they're wasting their time or, why would I go do that if I'm not getting paid?
Right.
If there's no guarantee of how much I'm earning, it's what are you going to be doing instead?
It's easy to see if you're doing it, not necessarily for yourself, but when you are doing it for yourself, it's easier to see those things, because if otherwise it's just a job, right? It's like you can just like, I need money, I'm going to do work for, payment. But if you try to build something yourself, you realize what resources are needed to do something yourself, and you quickly realize, like, well, wow, this is difficult. And I don't know if you ever necessarily think about, like, when you've worked a job, like how much did you not want to build something for somebody else? Because I feel like it's something we talk about in a lot of, like, the paragraphic, interviews. A lot of people find themselves in a job where they're just like, I could be doing this for myself. Why am I helping this guy build his thing, versus, like, if they did it for themselves? But it almost very quickly becomes like, oh, I'm doing this for myself, now I want to provide for other people. So I don't know if it's more of a management thing versus a person who has a job. It's like an employee mindset, like a negative employee mindset, versus like a very positive business management mindset of, like, I want my employees to be happy, versus the unhappy employee.
So we just filmed recently with a guy who's 22, 23. And he's got his own company, and he's been running it for 3 years now successfully. So he started it when he was like 20. That is incredible. And I wish that weren't so rare. I wish that were common, where everyone was starting their own company at 20.
And finding a niche in the market where he noticed, he's like, this needs to be done. Like, why? Like, nobody has a business like this. I'm going to start a business like this.
The more people that do that, the more people can see, okay, how do you make money? And oftentimes it's providing value, right? Because that's all money is. It's just a symbol of value. Most people don't look at it that way. They go, oh, I just went to work, so pay me. It's like, well, what value did you provide? What value did you create?
I showed up.
Yeah, so pay me.
Yeah, exactly. I clocked in.
But outside of all that, the way I look at it is, historically, if I've been working, let's say I work 4 days a week, what am I doing the other 3? If I'm sitting around doing nothing, well, I might as well be doing something, creating something, making value in the world that hopefully will one day lead to financial compensation of some sort. So I think a lot of people get the equation wrong, or they look at it wrong. Like, well, I'm not going to show up for that little. If you're just going to be sitting on the couch instead, what difference does it make? Now, if you're busy 7 days a week, and you're busy, beyond even 9 to 5, because what are you doing with your nights? What are you doing with your mornings? We woke up at 3 a.m. Well, from 3 to 9, that's 6 hours that you could be doing something. And if you're sleeping or just
I need to sleep
around, you do need to sleep. Yeah. But a lot of people end up getting no sleep because they're doing stuff that's a waste of their time and isn't productive. And I think these are the traps that we fall into, especially nowadays with social media and stuff. It's so easy to waste your time and then to feel like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of time. My time is valuable. My time is precious. You just blew it all on Instagram for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Take that time back and put it towards something that's actually productive, where you can be doing something that can lead, up the staircase. We're constantly talking about climbing the ladder. That's not going to happen by scrolling on Instagram, but people, because they feel like their time is limited, end up overvaluing their time, not realizing all the time they're sacrificing throughout the day, just wasting it.
And the irony truly is, the more time you invest in, a career, and even if it's just a hobby, the more time you invest, the more valuable you become because of the experience.
Absolutely. Growing your own skills, growing your network, all of these things, like, you never lose them. But the thing you lose your time on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I'm calling on Instagram. TikTok, they're all the same.
Yeah.
How many posts or funny videos do you even recall? Like, what did you see on Instagram a week ago? No one can tell you. No one can tell you. What did you see on TikTok yesterday? No one can tell you, because it's a complete waste of time. You don't even get anything from it. You might get a chuckle in the moment, but it's nothing that sticks with you, like skills, like relationships, like things that can't be taken away easily.
Right.
And people are so happy to sit there and scroll and feel like that's worthy of their time, but they won't get off the couch and go work because, oh, I'm not getting paid enough because I don't have enough time in the day. It's baffling to me that this is the world that we live in, where this is common. I wish more people were starting their own company at 20, like this other guy that we work with, because I think they'd actually find the fulfillment, the happiness that so many people are looking for. We
talked about this briefly, but and this was not on a podcast, but you were mentioning this like the reckoning of people just wanting content that's wholesome, like back to just people doing normal stuff, just people being people. and not this like hyperinflated, like, I don't know, you get all these like Desperate Housewife type shows of just like, that's not actually how people live. Like it's too dramatized. Like reality TV is not reality, but what we do is real reality. But the, you know, the image of, you know, someone thinks reality, it's like, oh yeah, reality, the Kardashians. It's like, not exactly. It's like, this is reality. This is a guy on his farm growing things. This is real.
We're like cinematic reality.
Reality. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I love like what we do. And it's funny, if you see the behind the scenes, and
On Patreon
you can watch all the behind the scenes that we have. It's
More
always,
coming.
Yeah, it's always funny to see like the different camera, you know, the positions that we put our bodies in to get these like angles. And a lot of time you'll see us like just squatting all the way to the ground, you know, holding our cameras in like all these goofy positions, but not necessarily, you know, taking into consideration what the final, you know, look of the video would be, which if you watch, there's very, like, even in the promo trailers that we play and all the ad reads that we have for the Boca and stuff, if you watch a lot of the angles, like, we are ground level for a lot of these shots. So like, you could very much imagine that we're just in the dirt for a lot of these shots, but
under cars,
just getting dirty. But it's something that like we want to just get the best shot, and it's just like I don't know, just putting our body in harm's way to get these like really cool cinematic shots. But I don't know, it's like, how do you make someone give 110% effort? But it's,
there's no way to make someone go to the gym. They have to decide to do it themselves.
The more I think about it, it's just like, unless you do it, you don't know the rewards. And a lot of the rewards, at least that we have, it's like, if you're going to film something, it's like your name's going to be on it. It's like somebody's going to ask, who shot this? So it's like what you were saying earlier, if you're going to invest time into something, it's like, it better be worth it, because you're definitely not going to get it back. And if it is, you know, something that looks good, and if that's your career, if you're a photographer, if you're a videographer, if it looks great, then that was time well spent, because it's not only, you know, hopefully it's going to be something that lives forever, and it's not just what you were saying, just like a piece of content flash in the pan, but hopefully it's something that people can watch and learn something. Ideally, that's what we try to do. We try to teach people with a lot of the content that we do. And hopefully if it looks good, then it lives on in, you know, it'll be an inspiration for other people, because like I said earlier, it's people constantly pull up videos that we've shot, not knowing that we shot it, and they're just very impressed. They're like, can you make something look like this? And it's just like, yes, I have 100% confidence I can make it look exactly like that.
Because
I shot it. Yeah.
No, it's a really good feeling. It's very rewarding to get to do what you do. And when you have control over it and you get to invest all the effort in the right place, there's a lot of stuff that I've worked on over the years now, over the past 15 years, where I've been paid, but I wouldn't want to show someone what I worked on, because it's like kind of like embarrassing, or it's just not.
It wasn't your vision.
It wasn't my vision. It's like I was doing a job, performing a task for somebody else. And yeah, I made some money, but I wouldn't want to necessarily put it in my portfolio. Right. Where there's other stuff I've done for free or for fun that I would happily put in my portfolio because I'm proud of it.
Yeah, we were talking to one of our friends recently who does like, one of, you know, their jobs is doing social media content for a very influential influencer, like 3 million plus, you know, followers on Instagram. And he was saying the content itself is just the most basic content. You're just following the person around as they do mundane activities, but not fulfilling content. So it's unfortunate, but like there's like a period of time where you have to do the thing that maybe you don't want to do until you find the thing that you actually like doing, and then hopefully that's enough to sustain you. But I think for a majority of this podcast, we were talking about how this, even though a lot of people might assume it's the full-time business, it's like, this is very much still just a hobby.
Still just a hobby, still just for fun. Even this podcast, you know, gets a couple hundred views.
Right.
It's like, that doesn't pay the bills. It actually is not even monetized yet.
Yeah.
So this is just for fun.
Even then, it's not nothing though. It's still people who are interested, and the more people who are interested, the bigger the audience pool becomes, the more opportunity we have to make money, hopefully, to make it our full-time job.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoy our documentaries as much as we enjoy making them. Unfortunately, many of our videos don't earn enough YouTube revenue to afford the cost of production. But if you like our content, the best thing you can do is directly support it on Patreon. Plus, you'll get access to behind-the-scenes vlogs and commentary. If you're looking for something more in return, go to paragraphic.io where you can buy our other products and services. Alternatively, you can shop our Amazon storefront for our favorite equipment recommendations. Also, check out Boca, where you can find beneficial supplements to optimize your productivity. We especially love the lion's mane and mushroom gummies. And finally, consider signing up to Multitude, a platform built for long-form content, where you and other content creators can share and monetize new videos every week.